Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
The reckless driver who was being pursued by police. Officers eventually backed off, but as you see here, the driver is still driving recklessly.
He's doing a bunch of donuts, going in circles. Desmond Shaw is live overhead in Sky 9. What a mini spectacle here, Desmond.
Yeah, no kidding.
Pat and Juan, this is really unbelievable. All the pursuits we've covered, I've never seen anything like this. This is by far the most brazen driver I have ever seen. It started in Glendale, and it started with reports of this person doing donuts around a Glendale PD officer. So, of course, they didn't take too kindly to that. They got into pursuit, but this person was driving like such a lunatic that they called it off. They went into tracking mode. There's no officers behind at the moment. They're just monitoring it from the air with Glendale's Police 100 helicopter. But this person is all over the place. Wrong side of the road, doing donuts, stopping in the middle of the intersection in red lights. Seems like just taunting people. It's very bizarre. And it sounds like from all the chatter we've heard that none of the police agencies know what to do. No one's really that interested in getting involved in this. We're in LAPD's jurisdiction right now, but this originally started with Glendale. CHP wouldn't take it on, even though it was on the freeway. This person was going really fast on the 5 at one point, and it's just absolutely ridiculous what we're seeing, and the police are not doing anything to try to stop this.
You know, I'm trying to figure, okay, there it goes. Wrong side up. Oh, this is just.
It's crazy.
I don't even know how you describe this, Desmond. You're doing a fantastic job as always, by the way. You know, it just makes you wonder if would they possibly like block intersections to stop people for, you know, from coming through, like on Alameda Street. Do you see any activity like that?
I haven't seen anything like that or heard any possibility of the police of doing that. The way this person's driving, they're probably thinking that it's nothing that's going to stop this guy from going up on the sidewalk if they block the streets. Just been really, really crazy how this person is driving. I just can't emphasize how nuts this is. And now we're going underneath Union Station. Okay, just wanted to make sure we didn't lose him there. I had to go to a wide shot, but incredibly bizarre. This person's been doing so many turns. I'm kind of surprised they haven't made themselves dizzy with the way that they're driving.
And now they are stopped at a red light. Doesn't look like that's going to last long. Well, now they're making a right turn. And there are some pedestrians on the street. And, you know, while we're looking at this, and it looks like this person, I don't want to use the word skillful, Des and Juan, because I think that might be a little much. But at the same time, you know, you worry a little bit about people that are on the street. But so far, they've managed to stay basically on this main drive here or wherever he turns, where there's little traffic, thank goodness, and just seems to enjoy having the road to himself, so to speak.
Yeah, it seems like everybody else holds off, Desmond, when he gets to these intersections, unless he's watching for the green light, as we see here. If he would have kept going forward, he would have had a green light, but, I mean, you don't see a lot of people around.
No, not too many people around. Fortunately, in the way of pedestrians, hasn't been in any of the really crowded pedestrian corridors. We're along Alameda, a little farther, we were anyway, and that was a little farther down would have been around the Arts District where you could have seen a lot of pedestrian traffic. Right now on Cesar Chavez, which will turn into Sunset Boulevard. Actually, never mind, he's heading eastbound, so it'll stay as Cesar Chavez. And you might have seen some of the flashing strobes coming. Look, there it is right there, right on cue. So this person is equipped with some sort of light kit as well. And, okay, thanks to our Simon desk, we just found out that CHP has their fixed-wing aircraft overhead as well. I believe that's a crew of 3, so now they're going to have several sets of eyeballs on this person. And I don't know if they're thinking, it really just seems like they're taunting the police. I saw them with hands out the window, making a motion, waving at the helicopter. The Police 100 was down pretty low with them, but just incredibly bizarre behavior. This is a Kia Stinger. I believe this is a Kia, and I believe it's a Kia Stinger, which is like the high performance Kia. And so this person is kind of just, I don't know, really flaunting this car right now all across LA.
Hey, certainly in neighborhood where there aren't many lights, well, he's going on the underpass, right? But did you notice for a moment there, it almost looked like they were in darkness, waiting for him to come out on the other side.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
He's on the other side of that wall, Desmond.
Yeah. Right there.
See the flashing yellow?
Yeah, I see the Okay, where is this person at right now? I'm just following the blinking
There it is.
light.
Yep.
So this
There you
was,
go.
I believe, a freeway entrance right here. Maybe getting onto the eastbound side of the 10. And, well, now that he's on the freeway, I think what my assignment desk was just telling me is that maybe CHP will get engaged in this. It's just weird. We were listening to the chatter from the police helicopter, and it made it sound like that there was some kind of policy conflict that was preventing them from getting involved in this. But now you see the flashing lights on, and now
Driving so slowly.
being really ironic. Yeah, it's driving so slowly on the freeway when they were driving fast and doing donuts on surface streets. So kind of ironic now that we're on the freeway is only going maybe 25 miles an hour.
You know, something you had mentioned about how pursued and then they backed off. You know, when you think about it, what would they do unless they got close enough to do some kind of pit maneuver or actually throw down some spike strips, which I guess would be a possibility, either one of those, Desmond, but you just wonder if they'd try to do a pit if this guy then, you know, wouldn't automatically speed up. Now, is he exiting?
That is a good point. Yeah, it looks like we're getting off the freeway here at State Street, Soto Street, over by County USC Hospital. And, yeah, I mean, this person was driving pretty crazy when the cops were behind him earlier. When we were hearing them call out, it seemed like he made it from Burbank down towards Lincoln Heights in just a couple of minutes. So it must have been going 80, 90 miles an hour when the police were behind him. So, you know, as always, police are in a really tough spot with these situations. Do you let someone go, monitor them from the air, and then let them just drive as insane as they've been driving, or do you try to stop this and then risk the person driving even crazier and possibly injuring an innocent person?
So is he back on the freeway, Desmond, or getting back to it, or what's happening?
It looks like we are going to be re-entering the eastbound side of the 10 here. These are what they call the collector lanes on the far right-hand side that are separated from the main line of the freeway. But here they're going to come together, and then we'll be approaching the 710 freeway as well. So coming out of L.A. towards East L.A., Monterey Park, and the City Terrace area.
And if, just to say they would let this driver continue, they do have the license plate.
Right.
Always a possibility they could pick it up on the other side or at a moment when this person wouldn't know that they were following them from on the ground for sure. So that could be what officers or law enforcement is thinking at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have those the license plate on that, and if this hasn't come back stolen or anything, then they could certainly try to come and knock on this person's door at a different time, or try to broadside them at home when it's safer for the public to do so. So we may see that as well. There was talk of CHP getting involved though because we are on the freeway, but again, it just kind of sounds like all the agencies are loath to get involved in this because it's just a very weird situation.
Yeah, it's interesting how they're backing away from this, Desmond. While we watch your live camera there on the left-hand side, we're showing our viewers what happened earlier tonight, where you see this driver with his blinkers on, just basically doing large circles in intersections, crossing that double yellow line. Fortunately, Pat, there's been no accidents or nothing. Even he got close to those cars there, but no accidents or side swipes. But pretty just irresponsible driving.
Oh, very irresponsible driving. And again, it's almost like Desmond said earlier. Look, there's no rhyme and reason in what this driver is doing. And he mentioned that he was possibly taunting officers, hanging out the window, pointing at the helicopter. Now he's getting off the freeway. Looks like Desmond, and again, driving, well, he was exiting very slowly there. He's picked up just a little bit more speed, but not a lot.
Yeah, still fairly subdued, certainly compared to what we were seeing earlier. Hopefully this person has accomplished whatever. Well, no, I say that, and then here we go back into the intersection and making another strange U-turn. So it just seems almost like they're daring police to come after them because they've had so much time at this point. You're driving a black sedan. You could blend in probably pretty easily or turn the lights off, and it would seem like if this person wanted to get away, they would have possibly had the opportunity to do that. And it just really seems like the idea is to taunt people and look at intentionally annoying other drivers, getting right in their way. And what's that person thinking about what this guy's doing? And this person back here, they're just trying to get on with their day, and this guy's doing donuts in the intersection in front of them.
Yeah, and it seems like, Desmond, we're getting late word here, too, that they're most likely going to be sending some ground units. At least that's what's coming from CHP dispatch coming into our newsroom right here. So things continue. Instead of, calming down, they just keep escalating, or they just, basically stay the same here, which is some very dangerous driving there on our city streets.
And let's talk about where he's
and
gone.
it
Oh, go
sounds-
ahead, Desmond.
No, I was just going to say we had heard that CHP East LA was in the middle of a shift change, and when they're done with that they may come and get involved. But then now this isn't on freeways again, so it might just kind of ping pong back between different agencies if they want to get involved. It kind of looked like he was losing control there for a second, or maybe just really testing this car again. This is to my knowledge, the high performance Kia model. I'm not sure if it's turbocharged, but I believe it's rear wheel drive. And this isn't your run-of-the-mill economy car. If it is a Stinger, then it definitely has some power and is capable of some pretty aggressive handling. But go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, large caliber dual twin exhausts, in fact, Desmond. Just look that up. I was just wondering, again, I didn't want to lose my thought here, but just where they've been. We know that they picked this up in Glendale when he was at the intersection, Western and San Fernando. Then he went to Lincoln Heights. And now he's in, East Los Angeles. So
got off the freeway, right, a few minutes
and it
ago.
doesn't look like he's trying to get back to Glendale. So, sometimes we try to gauge these things in terms of where people are driving, where they're headed to next. Are they going back in the same area, possibly? But they don't necessarily see a pattern here, Desmond. But this is just so, well, he's going to do another donut. You think he's going to stop and possibly just give up or even get out of the car, but no, he stops to do another.
And there he goes again.
Yeah. It's almost like a circus act at this point.
Yeah, here's a car that's approaching a couple of cars, so let's see what he's probably going to keep going now. Yeah, not going to be, well. Just,
As
whoa.
soon as
Oh, now he's
going west
zigzagging.
and turns back around and goes east, and now we're back westbound at high speeds now. I think we're up to like about 60 or so miles an hour at the moment, and then you see him intentionally jerking the wheel back and forth, kind of almost like testing the limits of this vehicle, and you wonder how skilled this driver is, and if they're going to, lose control of this vehicle or you slam into a parked car, God forbid, someone who's out there walking along. Now, we did just hear East LA. It sounds like CHP, they may have completed their shift change, and that there is a ground unit on the way to this, and they're going to get guided in here by Police 100. All the agencies are able to communicate with each other, and we'll see if CHP, how they want to handle this.
I'm wondering what those other drivers are thinking when they see this car all of a sudden kind of pull over to the side and then just start going around in circles. Here he is, again, most likely just trying to get around that traffic, but he hits another intersection, Pat, and he just wants to do another big circle.
Yeah, doesn't look like they're trying to.
There he goes.
Yeah, you think maybe they're going to make a right turn, which is perfectly legal, but no, he decides to do something else. Has his blinkers back on and going back in the other direction of City Terrace Drive. We've been following this for about 15, 20 minutes here.
Yeah.
And we've
I got
same pattern. Yeah. The pattern is this person is driving this Kia Stinger and is just constantly doing donuts in the middle of roads.
Wow.
Gets on the freeway, gets back off. Now it's getting a little dicey. I think that's the first time we've really seen some traffic or other vehicles get caught up
Was that from the police
in what
helicopter?
this person is doing.
Yeah, and his pattern has basically been the same, basically what you're seeing right now, which he makes it into an intersection, starts going around in circles, avoids cars, avoids the garbage cans there on the curb, and then crosses the double yellow line. And I mean, luckily, again, as we mentioned, so far, no injuries, no crashes or anything like that. But now, Pat, here we go, another narrow street, which
Yeah, and he's got his blinkers on.
A little different here.
Well, East LA CHP en route to engage with this driver, and we'll see how that turns out. This is a dark street, a narrow street, as you said, residential neighborhood right here. Still has his blinkers on. In any other circumstance, we would think this person was getting ready to, oh, there we go. He is engaged right now. That must be CHP. East LAC.
Yeah, look at him just kind
Okay.
of wagging back and forth there. really
my
asking for it. But this is highway patrol. There was we just even heard some kind of conflicting information from the police helicopter overhead. It made it sound like that CHP was not going to get involved after all, but now we can see that they are indeed behind this vehicle as we're on this narrow surface street, Van Pelt Avenue, and we'll see where this street goes. We'll see if this driver knows the neighborhood going. It looks like going up into the hills. There's plenty of streets that do not go all the way through up here in the City Terrace area, and we'll just see where this one shoots this driver out.
Well, Desmond, we're going to turn the newscast now over to KCAL 9 News at 10 with Susie Sa and Jeff Vaughn, and they'll pick it up from here.
Pat and Juan, thank you so much. This is our top story tonight here on KCAL 9 News at 10 o'clock. That wild pursuit of a driver wanted for reckless driving, doing donuts at every intersection. Susie, he's been taunting police when this started in Glendale.
Yeah, even doing donuts around a police vehicle. Desmond Shaw live in Sky 9 with an update for us. Desmond, these streets are so narrow.
Yeah, they are, and I think the driver just turned into a dead end here. I think, let's see if this is going into a, no, maybe not. I thought, okay, it's still going here. This driver, and it started in Glendale, and this all started with this person actually doing donuts around a police officer. It just does not get more outrageous than that. And the pursuit was on briefly until this person was such a maniac that the authorities backed off. But that didn't stop this person from driving so crazy and doing circles all across these intersections. And it was really difficult to decide which law enforcement agency wanted to get involved in this. It seemed like nobody wanted it for a while. Now CHP is finally getting involved here, even though we are on surface streets. I thought this was a one-way street, but obviously it's not. And this driver, look at, you see him just purposely like kind of fishtailing, just kind of wagging back and forth, you know, kind of turning the wheel here, just really outrageous behavior, and it's amazing this person hasn't crashed yet, Jeff and Susie.
Yeah, and on the right-hand side is going to be earlier video of the recklessness of this driver, wanted for reckless driving. He was doing those donuts at every single intersection, all over the road, the wrong side of the road. Also kind of almost playing chicken with some of the oncoming traffic at times. Did you see that on the right-hand part of your screen? This driver exhibiting that reckless behavior. This all started in Glendale in pursuit of that vehicle doing donuts in the intersection of Western and San Fernando.
And talk about unusual and dangerous driving tonight, as CHP East LA area has just engaged. And, you know, this driver has been anything but not obvious. I mean, Desmond was talking about how it's a dark colored vehicle. It's a black Kia, so they can certainly get away from authorities, maybe hide under an overpass or something. But you know what? We haven't seen that. We've seen just the opposite, them throwing on their hazard lights, driving around in circles and doing donuts in random intersections, taunting officers, taunting other drivers with really, you know, we have no idea where they're going with no real clear pattern of driving.
Almost wanting to attract attention because at almost every single intersection, that's when those hazard lights would come on. They'd start doing donuts, not necessarily the fast sideshow style that you see where it kicks up a bunch of smoke and whatnot and burning rubber, but just easy, sort of lazy donuts at almost every single intersection. Now you see that vehicle's lights flashing on and off. That's why we suspected it could be at some sort of sideshow vehicle. You see those sideshows from time to time that occur in the middle of these intersections. That's also some of the police lights as well. But we've noticed some strange lights. And then we go, Susie, here to those hazards of this Kia. We believe this is a Kia Stinger.
Yeah,
that,
going
on the pursuit vehicle.
On the wrong side of the road again. Desmond, any idea if this person is under the influence? Have we heard anything about that?
Well, no, you have to wonder, though, Susie, if this person is under the influence. I mean, it's just crazy how this even all started. This didn't start with just a traffic infraction or speeding or anything. I mean, really getting up and doing circles around a police officer. What could someone possibly be thinking in any state of mind? So it's certainly fair to wonder if that's the case. We haven't heard that the police say anything about a suspected DUI, but it's definitely fair to ask that question. Now, here's CHP, and the unit was asking their superior if they could do a pit maneuver, and they were denied. They said negative pit on that, even though, you know, it's got to be really difficult for these CHP officers because it seems like they've had the opportunity. But we are talking about a vehicle that's a little higher on the food chain as far as performance goes. There you see the red light tickets that you can tack on there in addition to.
Might have got a bad spot
Oh,
there.
no! Oh, definitely.
Traded paint for sure. Did a little bit of damage there.
Yeah,
nonetheless,
absolutely.
drove through. But this is where are we that we're able to just continue driving around in circles, Daz?
This is we're on First Street here. I believe that's the gold line right there that you see in the middle, and you saw those flashing lights from the red light cameras, which he's going to trigger again right there. So that'll be pretty costly, in addition to at least some jail time, and then could have hurt an innocent person there with clipping that vehicle. Fortunately, it was pretty minor as far as collisions go. There you see him waving out the window there, again, just taunting the officers and getting onto some pretty narrow surface streets. But this is definitely one of the crazier ones that we've covered.
Yeah, Desmond was talking about a possible pit maneuver that the CHP supervisor has actually said no to that. And probably you're wondering at home, why would they say no? I mean, they're so close to the vehicle. Looks like they could just do it right there even and get away with it. But, what they're considering is all the different factors when they're doing a pit maneuver. They have to think about the speed of this other car, which has been, excessive at some times. And also, is there space around this car to go through that car and make sure they're not hitting other cars? So lots of different factors happening, and never mind the fact that this person has been driving like a maniac and driving in very unpredictable patterns. So that certainly does not make it easier to do a pit maneuver.
It appears that this is the owner of the vehicle. This all came around 9 o'clock tonight, that intersection of Western and San Fernando and Glendale. We understand that this driver was doing donuts at that intersection so many times, it caught the attention of neighbors who called 911. Then police arrived. Then this driver continued to do donuts as the police were there. And then that's what started this pursuit. And now it's getting even more dangerous as we are now on a highway. This is going to be the 101 southbound, and this is going to be higher speeds than what we've seen before. Let's go up to Sky 9 and Desmond Shaw with a look at the very latest on this pursuit. So, Des, he's driving away from you now.
Yeah, coming through the Eastdale interchange, and I think this is actually going to put us on the westbound 10. It's going to be kind of complicated to follow this just as we get around. Well, actually, okay, popping up right up in this area, but you see the different raised lanes and stuff. Yeah, we're on the westbound 10 now, so came out of the crazy Eastdale interchange. They were going to go to the northbound 101, and then you saw them cut back right at the last second and fly over the shoulder to get into lanes, and CHP still behind them. Hand out the window, waving at officers, hazard lights on and on. This vehicle has what they call a light kit equipped. So you saw some of those strange flashing lights right in the
like
front
that
the driver, can turn on and off. It looked like there might have been some kind of weird design to them, but they just kind of flash on and off pretty quickly. So we're coming through downtown, probably about 70 miles an hour right now, coming towards the 110 freeway. And as far as pit maneuvers, it's just kind of hard to know how this driver would have reacted to getting pitted. And then, of course, they don't know if this person is armed or anything like that. They, hopefully have an idea of who this person is because the vehicle is not stolen. So if this is the registered owner, then, they should know exactly who this is and if this person has any kind of a criminal history or something. But, I mean, I'm kind of starting to wonder, too, is this person having like a nervous breakdown or something? Because this is just like the kind of activity or behavior of someone who just doesn't care about what's going on. But doing, circles around a police officer, waving at them, taunting them, even when it seemed like the police gave up and essentially, let this person go at least for the night, continued to drive like a lunatic.
Yeah, and keeping their hazards on and trying to get away from police like that's certainly not a good way to do it if they are trying to get away from police. Obviously, as Desmond was talking about, a dark colored vehicle, but when you have your hazards on like that, flashing on the freeway, very easily CHP can find where you are, even if you are far away, if you're the only car with that. And oftentimes, Jeff, we were seeing them drive without their headlights on and with the hazards on instead.
Yeah, this makes me think that this is some sort of sideshow car because it's got some sort of, you see the lights are always coming on and off. I can't imagine the driver is manipulating all those lights inside the cabin, but you see the lights come on and off. They change colors a little bit. And that kind of leads me to believe maybe he was doing his own solo sideshow at that intersection in the Glendale area that attracted all the attention. You see the lights now going kind of like purple to orange. and then the headlights will come on. This guy is really attracting attention to himself. Even when there was an opportunity, when they backed off, he could have maybe left. I'm sure they might have had his license tag information, stuff like that, but he could have just disappeared into the night and been free of this, but he seems to want the attention.
Yeah, it's true, Jeff. You know, at one point, as we were talking about, after Glendale Police Department, they kind of relinquished the pursuit because it was getting out of their jurisdiction and onto the freeway, and the CHP was talking about getting engaged. I mean, this driver was going under overpasses that we thought they might stop and possibly just stop there to evade even, you know, the helicopter, just to be not seen anymore, but they didn't.
And I wonder if we might be able to bring that inset box up. This is started about 9 o'clock, so it's well into more than an hour, but we did have that one opportunity to see a little bit of damage that was done as just a few minutes ago they drove. This is going to be some of the driving almost every single intersection. He was doing these donuts. That's what you're going to see there on your right-hand side. The only damage that we saw was to that one vehicle when he was doing oh, we're going to try to get that footage. When we get that, we'll show it to you. But he did hit a car with a driver in it and kept on going, Susie.
Yeah, and thank goodness it was so slow at that point. There was almost came to a complete stop, and then that car sort of almost got in the way, it seemed like, of that driver, and was trying to maneuver out of the way, and that's when he kind of clipped that driver and just kept on going, though. Desmond, where are we now?
We are coming through Mid-City LA, westbound 10, coming up to the Normandy exit, and still with the hand out the window, waving at the officers, almost like daring them to come and get them. And earlier when they got in that little scuffle with that PT Cruiser back there, you know, not only was that a felony hit and run, and then he got several of the red light violations with the metro line right there as well. So there was all kinds of stuff going on there in the East LA area with the CHP in pursuit. And this person's covered a lot of ground. You know, it started in Glendale, went northbound on the 5 briefly into Burbank, and then turned around and then flew down by Dodger Stadium and towards the Lincoln Heights area. And then that was essentially where we picked it up, and then was going through downtown, close to the Arts District and Japantown, and then east on the 10, and then we saw the crazy stuff in City Terrace before CHP finally decided to get involved, and now we're headed the opposite direction, westbound 10, and we're headed towards West LA. So really kind of, you know, circumnavigated a lot of the city tonight.
Well, it has now been 10 minutes since the top of the hour. We've been on this story from the very beginning. This is breaking news of a police pursuit. Driver wanted for reckless driving. You see that Kia Stinger, we believe, in the center part of your screen. We have an inset box we'll bring up here that will show some of the highlights of this pursuit, if you will. And that's where exactly hit that car right there. That silver vehicle decides to take a right-hand turn, if you will, in front of that vehicle, and then they clip and continues on, and that was about 10 or 15 minutes ago. But this all started about 9 o'clock in Glendale when this driver was doing donuts in an intersection and had did it so often that neighbors drew attention to that and then called police. Police arrived, and then that's when the pursuit began.
Back on the freeway.
Looks like we are on surface streets once again, but possibly getting back on the freeway, Desmond?
Yeah, maybe. Wanted to stop and make some kind of hand motions. It almost looked like maybe they were looking at us up here in Sky 9, or possibly Police 100. That had been the helicopter that was overhead, and you see the spotlight there from overhead, intentionally on the wrong side of the road, maybe knowing, really close again, geez, that you know, CHP will not go on the wrong side of the road to pursue. So they may have backed off a little bit at this point, and now got to wonder, is CHP going to back off of this one? Because this is just so dangerous here on surface streets when you start to see someone driving on the wrong side. And we are seeing a little bit more traffic in this area compared to what we were seeing earlier in City Terrace and Lincoln Heights, and even in downtown, kind of getting into the Crenshaw corridor, which you can see there's quite a few cars out tonight.
CHP is in pursuit, and Des, you had mentioned earlier that they were told not to do a pit maneuver. One, do you know why, and would they change their mind and possibly do this now that they're on side streets?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's always just kind of up to the officers' superiors here, and I think they're just always thinking about liability these days, because so many of these pursuits have ended so badly with innocent people getting injured, and you know, a lot of times, regardless of who caused the crash, it's law enforcement that ends up absorbing a lot of the blame on that. So we have seen some of the agencies kind of dial it back with some of these pursuits. It's hard to say. It sure seemed like it was a really good opportunity to do a pit maneuver, but obviously CHP was thinking of something else or thinking of some other possibilities.
Well, he's really started to go very fast now, Susie. I don't know what the deal was. He was going so slow moments ago, and then now he picked up the pace and went all through those different intersections. Thank goodness he didn't hit anybody, but almost they goes weaving from side to side. It's odd how this driver, now he's in the opposite lane.
Again.
I don't know what's going on with this guy.
Desmond, you were talking about how CHP won't pursue on the wrong side of the road. Do you see the officers back there somewhere?
Well, I'm widening out, and we can see they're not here. Okay, there they are. There they are. Okay, well, you know, so we were just talking about pit, and now we're hearing that perhaps they have a approved a pit maneuver. So let's see if they do it. I mean, look at this guy. He's practically nearly ran into the cops right there at Crenshaw and Martin Luther King Jr. So supposedly they have the pit maneuver approved. We'll see if CHP is able to initiate it.
Well, CHP does a really good job. We've seen them over and over and over again perform pit maneuvers, and if they have that now enforced, that should be wrapped up pretty quickly here, Susie, although that driver was going to try again to do that donut in the middle of the intersection, very wide intersection there, but of course the CHP cruisers came in and he thought otherwise.
Yeah, this has got to be such a different, difficult decision for CHP to make, and now he's just stopped right there, and then again, just taunting officers. I mean, this has been this entire time waving at officers, waving at drivers, taunting officers, and as Desmond gets us this shot here, you know, it must be a difficult decision for the CHP to make when they do have to let go of pursuits. You know, although they actually have the information of the person because they have the license plate, they know where they live, they know who the car is registered to, but, you know, when they're driving like this, they're using this car as a possible weapon to hurt someone, to hurt the public.
I think there's some speed humps there that slowed the driver down. Now we might be able to see this pit maneuver. Here we go. Here we go. There goes part of the rear bumper is off.
So now we got the bumper dangling here as this driver continues to just kind of fishtail all over the place. No, I was thinking maybe, nope, not giving up. And
we might have a unit on the other side, I bet you, because he's making a big circle here. Those speed humps will slow him down just a little bit.
It just makes you so nervous, though, when they go through these narrow streets, you know?
Yeah, you got parked cars, you got pedestrians, it's a residential area. This is very dangerous. Obviously, in that area, people have been speeding before. That's why they got those speed humps there. But this is breaking news here on KCAL Now. We're seeing this pursuit of a reckless driver. Look, he gets his arm out of the window, Susie, like he's egging them on and telling them to come up alongside of him almost.
Wow. I mean, 2 pit attempts so far, and once again, speeding up, Desmond.
Yeah, speeding up here as we're on 9th Avenue in the Lemert Park area, and you see CHP definitely showing that they want to end this now that they've had the pit approved, but now after seeing this, I'm sure, you know, the watch commander is watching our feed and probably determining if they want to continue to be aggressive in shutting this down. We are on some narrow streets, like you said, Susie. You've got parked cars on both sides, and so then they've got to think about property damage, and it's just so tough because the police have to play by so many rules, and we can see this person isn't playing by any rules, not even staying on the right side of the road half the time. It's almost like they don't even want to drive this vehicle straight, turning all over the place, doing circles, going on the wrong side, just going out of their way to drive as illegally as possible. We're on a little bit wider street here on Lemert Boulevard. We'll see if this provides CHP with an opportunity. You saw them coming along the side. They're wanting to do it. They're really wanting to do it here.
This could be it.
I think the Stinger might corner just a little bit better than the CHP Charger here. But circling back around now on Lemert, and we'll see if CHP is able to. This is going to be one of the most challenging pit maneuvers they've ever done. I can tell you that if they are able to do it, the officer is definitely going to get an A++ if they're able to successfully pull a pit off on this vehicle.
Yeah, there go the lights again on this car. And we're seeing the driver here as the pit has been approved by CHP. Let's take a look at the attempted pit that happened just moments ago. This is one out in the middle of that intersection on Martin Luther King. So there's one. I believe there's a second one here Actually, there's going to be 3. That was another one that was pretty close to being pit. And then this one here, where they actually took off the back bumper of this Kia Stinger before he takes off yet again to evade that pit, Susie.
Yeah, and even with that dangling bumper there, it doesn't seem like really changed the behavior of this driver. It doesn't look like they're driving any differently than they were before, doing the same taunting, doing the same flashing with the lights. And, you know, obviously officers trying to chase him the best they can, but they also want to keep their distance, not to only miss him should he make any, you know, sudden turns or moves or things like that, but also to give him that space, because we don't know where he's going next or what he's going to do. This driver has been driving recklessly, as we have been talking about throughout this hour, and also on KCAL 9 News at 9 when we first picked this up. I mean, they have been doing random maneuvers and intersection circles and donuts. And as we were talking about, donuts around a Glendale police vehicle even, and flashing their lights, flashing their hazards, really not trying to evade police like the way we typically see, Jeff.
Yeah, this is one who's trying to attract attention, who's taunting the police, who actually has had his left arm out the driver's side window the entire time, egging on police, almost motioning them to come up alongside him, and then he takes off. This is over nothing more than just, at the time of the call, the 911 call to police, was reckless driving. This driver was doing donuts in the middle of the intersection of Western and San Fernando in Glendale. That's what attracted police and neighbors, and that's how this pursuit began. As we're taking a look here live, you see the lights on this Kia. We believe it's a Kia Stinger. Now he's stopping. Okay, Des.
Desmond, do you see any CHP officers on the ground anymore?
No, and Susie and Jeff, I can tell you that that officer who was probably trying to do that pit must be seething with anger right now, because he was just ordered to cancel. And that was what I was thinking is, you know, the watch commander probably saw the 2 pit attempts, and that, you know, this was in a crowded area on some narrow streets, and they made the judgment, I guess, that this is just too dangerous, and so they're being ordered to cancel. So you may have seen Police 100, who's been the law enforcement helicopter on this overhead the whole time. I believe they're still here, but it sounds like no one wants this anymore, and they supposedly do know who this person is. Well, this vehicle did not come back stolen, and this should be, in theory, the owner of the vehicle.
This might be a good strategy, Des, because this driver appears to be pointed, and he's stopping. Maybe he is going to calm down.
Doing another donut in an intersection.
He wants attention.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he could definitely still see, you know, Police 100 is still down there at a pretty low altitude, and I can't tell if this vehicle has a moonroof or not. I don't believe they do, but, you know, hanging their head out the window and looking, and if he can hear the low-lying helicopter there, then he's still, you know, getting some attention from law enforcement. But it sounds like this is back to an air following, and it's probably not likely that anyone else is going to get involved. It took it felt like a lot of arm twisting just to get CHP to come and take this, and they just expended a lot of effort on this, and, you know, attempted that pit and nearly damaged their vehicle in the process, and now they've been ordered to cancel.
Well, if you're just joining us here on KCAL 9 News at 10, we have been following breaking news, getting really close to that car right there, too. Police now tracking a reckless driver. This is actually the second time that they've been doing this. This all began in Glendale with the Glendale Police Department at the intersection of San Fernando and Western, where they were doing donuts in that intersection, and they got the call of the reckless driver. And when they tried to get this person, they took off and did a donut around one of their vehicles, and then got on the 5 freeway. They went northbound, then back down southbound into the Legion Park and East LA area after that, and that's where they've been doing these circles. They were doing these circles, and now we are looks like we're slowing down once again. But before that, the CHP did get involved after the Glendale Police Department relinquished the pursuit when it left their jurisdiction, and CHP took over on surface streets. And this is the pattern that we've been seeing on the right side of your screen. Just random driving like that, aimlessly driving around and doing circles for no reason. Sometimes people around, sometimes drivers getting very close, flashing their lights like that. Again, another circle that you see being done in an intersection on the right side of your screen. And now we're back live with this picture. Desmond, where are we? And anyone on the ground? There's no one now, right?
No one at the moment in the Hyde Park area of South Los Angeles, and fairly subdued at the moment. You have to think that the driver might be pretty tired after driving like this for an hour. It's been going on, I think, now for more than an hour total from when we first heard about this driver taunting the police and initiating the initial pursuit. But CHP now talking with LAPD, seeing if they're interested in this. Just LAPD didn't seem very interested in it earlier when they were contacted by Glendale when this was in the downtown LA area. So it's hard to imagine that they're going to be interested in taking this now. CHP is saying, well, if they get back on the freeway, we'll reassess. We'll think about it if they decide to get back on the 10
I am kind of
or
surprised.
the 5 or whatever.
I am kind of surprised because, I mean, they did do a hit and run. I mean, it wasn't an injury accident, but they did do some damage to a car earlier. This driver of this Kia Stingers were starting to, well, I think that was the gold line from earlier. That's where he actually hit the vehicle earlier, but there were 3 attempted pit maneuvers. We'll bring those up. But those are the highlights of the pursuit you see there many times. This is going to be the first attempted pit, is that the driver was trying to do a donut in that intersection. That was at MLK. Then back over on Martin Luther King Jr. in Leimert Park. That's the second. And the third one was one that we thought was going to take, and then they took off the bumper of that Kia Stinger. Then that's when the driver took off, and then they pursued just shortly a little bit more, and then that was basically it, and they gave up. And as you mentioned, this is one of those pursuits that you can't find a department that wants. Susie, I don't know for what reason. Maybe it's just because this driver hasn't been quite that aggressive, but he's been taunting police over and over again, doing donuts in front of them, weaving in front of them. The driver with his driver's side window down, egging them on and asking them to come up alongside them, using his arm to gesture for them to come up. And now he's at least slowed down. So maybe that's what police want.
Sure, and just being so unpredictable. The behavior of this driver has been so erratic, and we have no idea what they're going to do next. Like right now, they're just pulling over, stopping for we don't know what reason. They obviously know probably that the chopper is still, choppers are still overhead, but they obviously see that the ground units have, disengaged. So, we have no idea, Desmond. There's no rhyme or reason to their behavior.
It's almost like this guy can't function unless he is being pursued. I mean, it's where it's like he has to have this attention. He's craving it. He's going through some sort of situation where he needs to have somebody watching him or pursuing him, because now Desmond is overhead in Sky 9. He's stopping and starting and kind of driving. It's very erratic behavior.
Oh yeah, it's insanity that we've been seeing. Stop there briefly in front of
now
the fire
he's on the train
hydrant.
tracks.
Now he's kind of stopping over the train tracks briefly. Yeah, it is almost. It really seems like this person is saying, "Come and get me. Come on. I'm right here. Come and get me." It just does not get any more brazen than what this person is doing right now. Kind of behind this building at the moment. Bear with us here. We'll try to
to the right.
Zigging and zagging all over the place. So as I suspected, LAPD said, we don't want anything to do with this. This didn't start with us. We've never been engaged. This may be in LA. LAPD said no thanks. CHP, if it gets back on the freeway, maybe they'll pursue. But here's the thing. This person has to know that they're capable of running the license plate. They know where this person lives, and apparently it comes back to somewhere in South LA, east of the 110. So, I mean, what is the end game here? Like, you're not getting away from this. Are you going to go stay at a friend's house or go flee to another state, or you just really don't care? Are you wanting to go to jail for some reason? Because that just seems like the inevitable ending of this one way or another, just because they're not getting them right here. And it is extremely frustrating to see this happening. It doesn't mean that this person is going to not going to be in handcuffs tomorrow morning or sometime this weekend or next week or whenever the authorities decide to make a move.
Just such odd and erratic behavior.
Bizarre, isn't it?
And thankfully, it's not at high speeds, and it's not so dangerous to necessarily put people's lives in danger. But this is pretty moderate to low speeds, which is thankful that has happened. And they've been on side roads and stuff like that, and thankfully there hasn't been a whole lot of traffic. But it's just odd this individual continues to just drive around, actually seeming to want to taunt police. Now we're back here live. This is going to be video from earlier, but Susie just continues to want to taunt police and try to engage them in another pursuit, I think.
Yeah, you know, sometimes police will do that where we think, my gosh, you can just get this person right now. Why don't they just get them? But you know what? When they have that information from a license plate, they know their address, as Desmond was talking about. They know where they live. They know where they are. They know what kind of car they drive, obviously. And so they just say, you know what? Let's catch up with this guy later because tonight's just not the night.
It's almost like this guy is on a dare or something like that, or a stunt to get police to engage with him on some sort of pursuit. And mission accomplished for a while. And now, no pursuit, and he just kind of continues to drive around aimlessly, and police are not in pursuit of him at this time. So these are some of the highlights you see going the wrong way here. This driver wanted for reckless driving out of Glendale. You're going to see him hit a number of intersections and doing donuts, going the wrong way. The lights are flashing. This continued on for more than an hour because it started around 9 o'clock. Yeah. You can see the lights flash on. He's got some sort of light kit on that Kia Stinger that flashes, strobe lights, whatnot. This is a point in time where police re-engaged and he started weaving around. Susan, you will see shortly they tried. See how he's driving around?
Fishtailing. That was really strange too, just to kind of show off to police.
Something's odd. They continued to egg them on to bring them up towards the side of the vehicle. Of course, they never did that.
Look at that crazy maneuver, all the way to the left side of the freeway. Woof.
And we'll get to those pit maneuvers. There were 3 of them that they attempted. They were somewhat successful in getting one kind of sideways. This is going to be the hit.
You know, at first they said, you know what, we're not going to do the pit maneuver. A supervisor said, you know what, let's not do that. But they later said, let's go ahead and do it.
You know, that was a pretty good attempt by CHP. They do a great job of doing those pit maneuvers. I'm surprised they weren't able to get that. They're very frustrated, I'm sure, but this driver somehow was able to elude them. And then this is where they started to take the intersection. This is the first pit maneuver attempt here, the pit attempt there.
So close to that rear quarter panel. And as you see from Sky 9 here, another narrow street down a residential area, and that's when we get so nervous, even with speed bumps. You know, you never know who's outside, what could happen. And here they go again, fishtailing a little bit, right? And wow, making that left real quick and then just stopping. We've been seeing that pattern, I think, most often. They just kind of stop in the middle of nowhere, just aimlessly doing, you know, God knows what.
Just erratic behavior. Yeah. Something is going on with this driver. It's just a driver in the vehicle. We understand it's not a stolen vehicle. This is just somebody out for a joyride that is egging police on, that is taunting them to get involved in a pursuit that lasted for better than an hour, probably an hour and almost 30 minutes, around the 9 o'clock hours when they first engaged with it, and have since given up the pursuit. But we're taking a look at what this driver did throughout the evening here on KCAL 9, and CHP having a helicopter. At one point in time, they had a fixed wing over as well, but it appears at this point in time the driver's just decided that he's going to stop and start and continue to drive even without police.
Yeah, and as we were talking about, just bizarre from the very beginning. They were doing donuts at an intersection in Glendale at Western and San Fernando, and then they did a donut around a Glendale police vehicle, which certainly got the attention of officers, obviously, and that's when they were in pursuit. And then the Glendale Police Department actually stopped pursuing this vehicle and asked the CHP to possibly get involved. They were not originally going to get involved, and then they did when the person got on the freeway, and then they actually engaged on the surface streets because they saw what kind of damage this person was doing, obviously, with all these random moves, you know, really getting close to other cars too, and clipping that one car that we just showed you and Jeff was talking about, and going through these neighborhoods, these residential areas where we have no idea. I mean, it's so dark there too. And doing these random fishtail moves with the car for no reason. It's not like he lost control of the car or anything, and that's why he was doing it. And then this erratic move, wow.
We're heard that CHP is trying to hand this off to LAPD. We're going to re-engage, we understand. And when we get the live pick back from Sky 9 and Desmond Shaw, we'll join that in. We understand there's going to be maybe a re-engagement of this police pursuit. So we'll keep an eye.
The CHP said if it goes back on the freeway, then they will re-engage. But at this point, doesn't look like anyone is going to be following them.
Yeah, and this driver actually went through a number of those intersections with the red light cameras. We saw those flashes. At least 2 intersections. One of them was just coming up right here. If we take a look at the picture, you'll see they'll take a right-hand turn. You'll see the flash there. So they have all the information they need to know who this is. This is not a stolen vehicle. We understand this to be the driver of this Kia Stinger. And it's a sports sedan, we understand, about 365 horsepower. And this guy's got some strange lights on the front. And so we wonder if this is one of those drivers that does the stunts on the weekends and does those side shows and those intersections that we've showcased here on KCAL 9, where it attracts a lot of people. Maybe he was initially trying to do that, but ended up just being this one-car pursuit. And
we've really been talking about how this person seems like really wants to get attention. Still flashing those lights right now, those hazard lights, the bumper still hanging off the back. Let's go back upstairs to Desmond Shaw live in Sky 9 for an update. Desmond.
So are they back pursuing now?
Go ahead. Hey, Des, you're on live with us here. Go ahead and tell us what's going on. We've been told that CHP is trying to get LAPD to possibly
Jeff and Susie,
re-engage.
Sorry,
Go
not
ahead.
Hearing you guys, but we're stopped at an intersection, and it sounds like we are back in pursuit now at this point. It looks like CHP has decided to re-engage this after they had back off. Maybe they were thinking that there was an opportunity for them to get back into this one, and try to pull this person over. So we'll see. The bumper still kind of flailing along there in the street. Amazing that hasn't fallen off yet, and we'll see if there is another pit maneuver in the works for this one. But at the moment, this insane pursuit, on and off pursuit with one of the most brazen drivers we've ever seen, it continues here.
Yeah, this is KCAL 9 News at 10 o'clock. It's 10:33. We started this at the top of the hour with this pursuit of this driver wanted for reckless driving out of Glendale. We understand that this pursuit, we're back here live with Sky 9. We've had some problems, Susie, with the signal. We have some problems with the DAS, but I think we got him back now. But this driver continues to elude police.
Yeah, and you got to wonder why CHP officers would re-engage and then back off again and re-engage again. But they're really, calling those shots. The supervisor is calling these shots. I mean, really, minute by minute, second by second, I would say. Obviously watching what's happening, perhaps from our air even, and seeing if they need to re-engage again. But as we were talking about earlier, they also have to be thinking about the fact that, gosh, if we let this person go, they could be out there and doing harm to the public, driving the way they are, and who knows what they're going to do next.
Yeah, and Des was talking about just the disadvantage that law enforcement has. They have to follow the rules. They can't go and follow that pursuit driver when he goes in the opposite direction. They can't do anything dangerous like that. They have to allow him to do it and hopefully try to corral him sooner rather than later. Let's go back up to Sky 9. Des is now live with us. Des, what's the latest?
It looks like we're back onto Crenshaw Boulevard right now. You see the future Crenshaw line right here that's actually supposed to be opening up later this year. But now we're just kind of hanging out in the South LA area, and this is where we understand the suspect lives. They in this area. And so that kind of makes sense, maybe, hovering around home. But again, who knows what's going through this person's head to have even initiated anything like this? So are they even in the kind of state of mind to add 2 and 2 together, that the cops might be waiting at their house, or, come and apprehend them later? It's just so bizarre what is going on right now as we make our way eastbound through South LA. Headlights on, headlights off. Hazards on, hazards off, the crazy strobe lights on and off. And you were saying too, Jeff, it crossed my mind as well. Did someone dare this person to do this? Maybe some kind of initiation thing, or what? Or if this person is part of one of those sideshow crews that do the street takeovers around LA? Is this person involved in something like that? Because, why else would you purposely agitate the police by going and doing circles around them,
Sure. For bragging rights, it's unclear tonight. We certainly don't know why this person is driving the way they have been, but Really, it has been a lot of just taunting officers and taunting other drivers, sticking their hand out the window, waving at other drivers, certainly not taking this seriously. They certainly don't know the gravity of the situation, the fact that they could be hurting other people, as we saw them trade paint with another car earlier, while that car was trying to get out of the way. But now they're picking up speed on surface streets in South LA. And it does make you wonder, do they know where they're going now that they're in the area where this car is registered to?
On the opposite lane here. And you almost get the feeling that the driver was disappointed when the police decided to not engage and to not chase him anymore, because he was driving and was swerving, was doing those donuts in the middle of the intersections, was almost actually asking police to come up alongside him. And then when they broke off from that, that's when he started to stop and then drive slowly and then stop and then maybe do half of a donut. It almost like there was not quite the effort that he was giving before when police were right behind him. So it almost leads you to believe that this guy has been dared to do this, that there's, for some reason, he wants police to pursue him. And he's drawing all sorts of attention to him in this Kia Stinger to get somebody to watch him. Remember, this all started.
Like baiting officers to engage,
Yeah, and remember, this all started in Glendale at the intersection of Western and San Fernando when he was doing so many donuts that it got the attention of neighbors and had done it over and over and over again, made such a racket and noise that they called police. Police got there. He continued to do the donuts in front of them. Then a police car got in the center of the intersection. He did donuts on them. I mean, this person wants this attention, doesn't he?
It's true, yeah. And, they've been driving erratically with, really no pattern to really speak of. We usually see patterns, them driving in certain areas, round and round in circles, or driving at a certain speed, going fast the entire time. But we just never know what's going to happen next in this pursuit. Yes,
I understand right now. Des, you might want to listen to this real quick. We're getting some information. The family members are trying to contact the driver and get him to pull over to a nearby gas station. So, Des, let's get your reaction to that. And you said that this is a neighborhood where the driver is familiar, so I would assume that they could contact him. He would have a cell phone with him, and there's a gas station, but he blows right past it.
And just one more piece of information, the CHP has contacted the driver's family, and they confirm right now that the driver is, in fact, experiencing a mental health crisis.
That makes a lot of sense, and they say that the family is trying to contact the driver, but the phone is going straight to voicemail, so he is ignoring them. So everything that they want him to do, he's unable to hear because he has the phone off. Des, what's the latest?
Well, I did mention that earlier when we were back around the Eastdale Interchange, that I was suspecting that that's what this person might have been struggling with some kind of mental health crisis, and because they were just acting like someone that is not thinking straight and is almost just like, I don't care what happens. And you see right there, just going through red lights. We've seen all of the really, really scary driving, and now we're hearing that is indeed, according to the family, what is happening with this person. And so law enforcement communicating with the family, but there's no way to reach this person. It sounds like the phone is off, or they're just rejecting every call. So it's a very scary thing to watch. It's someone that is piloting a vehicle like this and not afraid to get up to these high speeds, and is clearly in a very troubled state of mind. It is just a recipe for disaster on some of these smaller surface streets. So thinking that just widening out here, and we're seeing that perhaps law enforcement is really backing off on this one, but does it matter? Because we've seen law enforcement back off for long stretches of time, and this person is still continuing to do circles around the intersection, getting right up next to other vehicles, and just driving as the very definition of erratic.
And that definitely, changes the situation, when someone is having a mental crisis versus just taunting drivers for fun, right? Just to get away from police officers and just go on a joyride. But this is a different situation. And obviously, when officers hear about that, that's going to change their tactics.
It's very dangerous because if somebody is having a mental health crisis, they're behind the wheel, that's one thing. But you have to understand, how does this end? What's going on in the mind of this driver? Does this driver want police to pull him over and stop him? Does he want to resist? Or does he want to have suicide by cop? We've seen examples of that. We don't know how this is going to end and what is going on in the mind of this driver, so that changes a lot. Police have contacted the family. They know who this person is behind the wheel, and the family members have said that he is having some sort of mental health crisis, and that's the reason why he is acting so erratically, driving all over the road. And you see that car right there in the middle of your screen has been subject to a pursuit for almost 2 hours now. The driver has been very reckless in going to all these intersections, doing donuts and taunting police.
Yeah, and we wondered why that was happening, certainly giving us a little bit more insight into why he was doing that, possibly why this is happening. But again, this is a very delicate situation now for CHP officers, as they know that this person is experiencing some sort of mental health crisis. And as you were talking about, Jeff, you know, what is the protocol in something like this when you have family members saying, hey, you know what, they're not well?
Maybe go.
Well, not only that, but family members have been trying to contact him, and that's the best way to talk somebody down from this. But they say that they can't talk to him because the phone is going to voicemail. So he doesn't want to talk to anybody. I mean, this could be one of those situations where he's decided what he's going to do, and that's going to be get into an altercation with a police officer, whether it's a police pursuit. But this, at some point in time, has to end, and you wonder how that is going to end.
Yeah, Desmond Shaw, live in Sky 9. What can you tell us now?
Well, we're on 52nd Street and 52nd Place near Avalon, and we believe that that the driver is very close to home. They live somewhere in this area. Now, we saw him stop there and then just continue. Unfortunately, on top of all this, we're also dealing with LAX's airspace. This person is just barely inside that airspace, and so we're not able to get really, really close to this. And, you know, but look, police are here. They're here at the person's address. Those red lights, those are police. I'm not sure if that's LAPD or if that's CHP, but the driver is out. I believe that might have been their flashlight, and we're just going to have to see what happens. Extremely delicate situation. Okay, you know what? I can see here off the distance, they're putting this person in handcuffs. So they may have been, they may have been outside of his front yard in the dark, and they just came up and swarmed him as soon as they got out of the car. So after everything, this did not end in anyone getting hurt is really, really incredible. 52nd Place near Avalon is where we can see from a distance it appears to be CHP that is taking this person into custody.
Well, that is good news, because that person could have injured themselves, could have injured a lot of people, Susie, but it appears that he went home, and there were family members there that he wanted to talk with. Police, in talking with the family and communicating with them, were able to get there, and they were able to intercept him, and it appears that he is in custody, nobody injured, and that also goes for the driver that we know was going into some sort of mental health crisis.
Yeah, and just saying, you know, and learning about the mental health crisis part certainly makes a lot of this make more sense, if you will. We were wondering, you know, from the 9 o'clock hour, what in the world was going on in this person's mind with what was happening. So it looks like it's all clear here in South LA. One person under arrest after a reckless pursuit.